Well, there are many games out here vying for the attention of the public, trying to get notoriety. A lot of indie companies and games. I want to bring one to you that I think may be a diamond in the rough down the line. It's called Shatterline. It's a game from a company named Frags LLC, a Ukraine-based company, in which this game is PvE and PvP. The story is an alien race known as the Crystalline has come to Earth to take over Earth, and they are infecting everybody with their virus. What the virus does is infect everybody on the planet, turning them into hollowed husks that does their uh, drones or zombies that do their bidding, and then while they extract Earth and absorb it of all of its resources, killing the planet. Now, one of the races that they have wiped out has decided to give us a fighting chance by choosing special people to be immune to the virus to combat the crystalline. These people have joined together, known as the Shell Guard. Each one have unique abilities that give them an advantage over fighting the endless crystalline horde. Now, there are several ways to play this game. We're going to talk about both in depth and what I think this game may be. So, as I said, there's PvE and there is PvP. So, on the PvE side, it is a fun little excursion. It can take, I would say, it's 3 acts for the PvE. There's also exhibition and extreme exhibition and random events, which I'll get into later. But the main core of the player versus player experience is a team of 3 people go in and they do missions from 3 different acts. Each mission has various part of the story to tell and reveals more about what's supposed to be here. Now, the biggest problem is there's only 3 acts and it's not cohesive. You can tell that this story is very much still in development. So you play one, Act One doesn't have nothing to do with Act Two, doesn't have nothing to do with Act Three, while all of them have very interesting story dynamics. It doesn't mesh, despite how good the story is. PvP experience is very challenging. Very tight, very intense. A bunch of special enemies, varying from the crystalline to the military, uh, the government military, who's also trying to kill you, but also trying to kill them as well. And you'll see that play out with sometimes those 2 factions fighting each other and fighting you. But the enemy density, the mob density, can be a bit overwhelming. You can have a bunch of specials pour in at one time, causing a situation where you're just running around for whole minutes at a time. You have these mob type called the glassheads, which are just basically zombies, which run faster than you can. So a lot of times, if you're in a panic or everybody's down and they're on you, you cannot escape them. If you run out of bullets and 5 of them are on you, they're going to kill you. They're going to down you very quickly, and that's a wipe. And that does cause problems or a situation where it's too many specials, and you know a special where they have a yellow bar, and it's just too many effects. For humans, you can have it to where it's like several rocket launchers, several snipers, several people with flamethrowers. Flamethrowers rush you to where you can't get in cover, you can't get out of cover, you can't get out of danger, and sometimes you just flat out get just overwhelmed. The 2 tank characters, because there are several classes. You have 2 healers, 2 recon, which are sniper characters, 2 tanks, and 2 just kind of like assorted, don't really have a class. 2 healers in the PvE experience are very strong, dang near almost mandatory in some cases, depending on what you're doing, as they can be lifesavers. And with this overwhelming, sometimes experience, you need them to either get you up quickly, as both have ways to either revive you remotely or quickly, or to just flat out heal you or slow down or CC the crowd, allowing you to damage them. But the two tanks, Strix and Ram, they do not have, while being sort of like tank classes, their kits and their experience and progression kind of hints that they want you to be up close in the enemy's face, but they don't have the health pool or the tools to mitigate the damage they take. Their health is not that much higher than the average characters, and I'm guessing that is to level out a PvP front. But for how they're designed to be in your face, up close, especially Ram, who has a special where he literally suicide bombs into a group, you a lot of times will die before you even can charge into the group because there's no protection. Also, reviving, the reviving animation needs to be fixed because when you're reviving a person, they can die right after you revive them. It's very common. There is no moment of invincibility to where they can get their bearings and move. So actually, in certain cases, reviving your teammate can be a detriment as you are locked into this reviving animation, which is fine, but they very well will die from the damage that you're taking trying to revive them, resulting in either one or both of you dying before you get them up. So you're better off running around until they respawn in the next 40 seconds. When you're downed, by the way, you if and no and the whole group doesn't go down, you have 40 seconds before you're respawned again. On the other side of PvE, you have expeditions, which are roguelike missions. You spawn with a random weapon. You also spawn with a pistol, but you get a chest that gives you a random weapon. And throughout the playthrough, you will get your powers randomly. You will get buffs randomly from these loot cases that you got to loot. While you're doing it, the environment is evolving to you, creating more hazards, more effects that damage you, strengthen the mods, give them health, give them armor or shields, and the longer you're on the board, the more effects come into play. Also, up to 6 effects. This is the event that you would use to primarily farm blueprints, which are needed for your weapons. The more you have 3 stages in expeditions, 3 each stage you get about 2 blueprints. However, if you do not finish your expedition, you lose half of whatever you got per stage. So if you finish stage 1 and you got 2 blueprints and you decide not to extract and you lose at stage 2, well, now you only got 1 blueprint, half the experience. So high risk, high reward. The extreme expedition takes it up an even further notch, as when you start an extreme expedition, you start with 3 effects, 2 to 3 effects already in play. Anything from if you're too close to your allies, y'all take static damage, regular comets, bombardment coming in from the ground. I mean from the sky. Random effects. Very tense. You need coordination, especially for extreme expedition, as one wrong move or not getting the correct enemy can end up with the whole team dead. Now, the PvP base of this game. It's more of an old school arena shooter. You have your team deathmatch, your conquest, it even has a escort, which is, I know from Overwatch, as like escort and a payload. It has that. It has Dominion or Domination, Control the Hill. However, it can be a hacker's galore. It's a lot of hackers. Gamers in dire need of an anti-cheat. Unfortunately, with how gaming is today, and it's any first-person shooter now needs anti-cheat. This game does not have it. While it's not super common, you can run into a lot of games where you can run into games where you have people who are hacking and they're wall hacks, shooting through walls, auto lock, you name it, it can be there. The healers are really broken in PvP. And unfortunately, it's a side effect. It's a common issue that happens where they need this level of healing to get through the story, but because they have not separated their powers from PvP and PvE, This level of healing, especially with one heal in particular, the female, she can out heal. Her ultimate will out heal whatever damage you do. I've seen it and I've done it. Where if I pop her ultimate, which casts a healing circle on the ground, I can, unless somebody is focusing with a headshot with sniper rifles, and it can still take two, you can sit there and outduel anybody without even moving because the ticks of the heals is more than the damage that's coming in. They need to fix that. But they have varied events in PvP as well. In PvP, mastery of your character can cause massive skill gaps, as knowing when to use your ulti and how to best use your character's moves can cause a massive chasm in skills between two players who have the same character on different teams. Also, for this game, their weapon system, very unique. For their weapon system, you can level your weapons in story mode. This allows you to level them up, customize them. Each weapon can have up to 3 attachments on it with skins and little tags on it, just like Call of Duty. And you can actually do this in PvP and PvE. And this is very important because you can feel in PvP where you're facing somebody with a decked out or a legendary gun. And legendary or rare variants of guns are extremely customized guns with epic or legendary skins that have legendary bonuses on them. These bonuses can be anything from increased rounds per minute. It reloads half a mag on a kill. The shots from the gun can cause bleed damage, and then plus attachments, where some legendary attachments can have these similar effects. So if you run across somebody with a decked out gun and you do not have that, you could be in for a bad time of one shots where they just kill you on one shot. That can be common depending on what gun they have. The gun system also is broken up into 4 tiers, where you need to level up and play guns from the tier and level up your guns to progress to the next tier. The interesting thing about this is you cannot buy yourself out of this choice. You can't just go to the cash shop and buy whatever gun you want. There is a cash shop in here, but it is only cosmetic with 2 currencies. One is in-game currency, which you can either use to unlock more weapons or unlock free skins. The other currency is the one you buy with money. Unfortunately, it does run with the gotcha gimmicks of, oh, well, this costs 555 coins, 5,055, but the $20 pack costs 500. Sorry, costs 5,000, and the $10 pack costs 250, and the $20 pack costs will give you 600. So you buy the bigger pack, it tricks you into buying more than you should. You can't buy exactly. It has that gotcha mechanic in there, but it's solely cosmetic. So if you don't want to engage with it, you don't have to. Luckily, you really do have to gear up and grind for your weapons. Unlike, and this is very interesting, unlike other games where you got to do this, once you get enough experience to unlock a new tier, you can then use your points to choose what gun you want to unlock from that tier. So it's not like, oh, I got to play shotguns to unlock shotguns. No, once you level up enough of the tier 1 experience, you can then use your points and choose any gun you want from tier 2. So I do like that as well. But I like a lot about this game. I've played this game. If you're new to the channel, I've streamed this game several times. I still play this game. The thing is, it's missing something. At the time of release and the peak of this game around September, October, it was at 5,000 people concurrent on Steam. And if you look, and right now it's down to 500. And if you look at the time, as we hit September and October, its views went down. The player base went down, sorry. As if you look at the timeline, Call of Duty came out, God of War came out, Callisto Protocol came out. Those games rounding out the year came out. And this game started coming down and down. And this game is still thriving. It's on, especially in the U.S. off of word of mouth. And Frags LLC has chosen a very interesting thing as far as they've chosen not to promote this game until they actually have a release date and it comes out. But right now they're hoping and doing patches and stuff, but it's down to like less than 1,000 player base. So this game is kind of, I don't want to say it's floundering, but it's struggling, and they're not getting the word out about this game. Now, it does have there's a problem of the limited story. It only has 3 acts. And it is good, tight gameplay, crisp gameplay, but it's only 3 acts, and it don't match. But I still think it's promising. Why do I still think it's promising? I'm going to tell you a story. So, there was a game years ago, almost a decade ago, more than a decade ago, a decade ago. Me and my friends, I stumbled across a game on a website, and I thought it was fake, but it was real. Played the game, I liked it, got my friends in the game, we played the game, we used to play the game all the time, but we end up leaving the game alone. It had lack of story, lack of direction, and we just felt like it was spinning its wheels, didn't know if it was going to gain any traction. It did not have enough to keep us. So we left that game alone, and we went on to bigger and other things at the time. Now, fast forward, that game was Warframe. Warframe now is one of the biggest success stories as far as an indie small company. I think it only had like 20 developers at start, 20 people. And for it to expand to what it is today is amazing. I say that to say this is in limbo. This game was in development and has been in development during the time of the pandemic. And you have it to where it's a Ukraine-based team. We not sure how it has been said, but we don't know the severity of the impact of what's going on with Ukraine and Russia right now. It's playing with this game, but this game does have a lot of potential. It's doing the right things to combine a Call of Duty and maybe like an Overwatch when it comes to character powers and how the characters progress. The story seems interesting, even though the characters are a little cheesy, and the lines they say when they kill each other in PvP is a little cheesy. But the intensity of the game is there. The progression is there. The play is there. It just needs more pressure. It needs more time to be a diamond. But I do think, and I would recommend that this is free to play. As time passes, I would definitely recommend you keep your eye on this game. So this is one of my first in-depth discussions I've done where I talk in-depth about a game. Hell, you might as well say it's a review. Let me know if you like this type of content where we go in-depth and really break down a game, the pros and cons, and what works and what doesn't work. I think in several years, if everything is still the planet, this game can catch eyes. But I just hope it just doesn't die down, whether it be for what's going on with Ukraine or because they're just not funding it properly. They just recently dropped new content 3 days ago as of the day of recording this that, ironically, with the update, I can't get on to play. So they're still servicing it. They're still doing it, and they're still doing it up. I would definitely suggest checking it out. But for right now, this is Revos.